going to get started. Have a little quiet, please. Thank you. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes the Reverend Stephen Wetzel of the Fraternal Order of Police. He is here today as the guest of Councilman O'Neill. I would ask all members, guests, and visitors to please rise.
Good morning, everyone. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here this day for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them this day. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work here in the city of Philadelphia. It is in your most blessed name we pray, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Reverend, for those inspiring words. Council will be at ease. Thank you. Quiet, please. Thank you. Thank you. Folks, if I can have a little quiet, please. Thank you. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, February 14th, 2019, and the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, February 14th, 2019 be approved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly. Okay. Let's start out with the motion again. Same motion, sir. Let's make the motion.
Mr. President, I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, February 14th, 2019 be approved.
Thank you. It has been moved and probably second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, February 14, 2019, stand approved. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, the journal is approved. Next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the majority, there are no requests of leave of absence today.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair now recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Republicans, there are no requests for leave of absence.
Chair thanks the gentleman. At this time, I would like to dispense with the regular order of business, and I would like to welcome and thank everyone who has come down to witness their government in action today. We genuinely appreciate you being here. We hope your stay here today is a knowledgeable one, but also a pleasurable one, so much so that you come back again. Today, we have no presentation, so we will move directly to communications, and the chair requests that the Sergeant of Arms delivers the messages to the Chief Clerk. Thank you. Mr. Decker, would you please read those messages?
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, I am pleased to advise you that on February 19, 2019, I signed all the bills which were passed by Council at its session on February 7, 2019. And I am submitting herewith for the consideration of your honorable body an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 194 by striking from the City Plan the southerly 10-feet wide portion of Burke Street from Howard Street to Hope Street in order to conform more closely with existing conditions, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. You have any additional communications?
I have none, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Our next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions, and the chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I offer one bill.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance establishing a parking regulation on 22nd Street, West Side, Aspen Street to Brown Street.
And that bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Good morning, Mr. President. I offer no bills or resolutions this morning.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I offer one privileged resolution co-sponsored by councilpersons Bass and Brown.
Thank you, Councilman.
A non-privileged resolution calling on the administration to commit to increasing funding for FY20 to grow the number of youth employed during the summer months.
And that will be on today's calendar. Oh, non-privileged. I'm sorry. That's non-privileged. That will be on next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Councilmember Maria Cuno Sanchez, I'm introducing one bill and one resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 194 by striking from the City Plan the southerly 10-feet wide portion of Burke Street from Howard Street to Hope Street in order to conform more closely with existing conditions.
Refer to committee.
And a privileged resolution declaring March 4th through 10th, 2019 as Women in Construction Week in the City of Philadelphia.
And that will be on, that will be on today's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I offer one bill.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance amending Section 16103 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Aesthetic Ornamentation of City Structures to modify the city's percent for art requirement.
And that will be referred to committee. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one privileged resolution that is co-sponsored by all of the women of council, members Reynolds Brown, Blackwell, Gim, Sanchez, and Bass.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
A privilege resolution congratulating and honoring the Pennsylvania chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women on the 33rd anniversary of the Madam C.J. Walker Awards Luncheon, and for the organization's commitment to the educational, political, and economic empowerment of African American women throughout the city of Philadelphia.
And that will be on today's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Don.
Morning, Council President. I have one non-privileged resolution and one bill for introduction, co-sponsored by Council Members Gim and Squilla.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance providing for the submission of the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia. The proposal set forth in a resolution approved by council proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide that council members shall not be eligible for election for more than 3 terms of office.
Refer to committee.
And a non-privileged resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide for a limitation of council members' terms in office to no more than 3 terms.
Also refer to committee. Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Kim. Sorry.
No bills or resolutions today, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger now.
Good morning, Council President and colleagues. I have no bills or resolutions today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions this week.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. No bills, no resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Squilla is not here. We'll come back. Thank you very much. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. And our next order of business is reports from the committee, and the chair recognizes Councilman Jones from a report from the Committee of Commerce and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee of Commerce and Economic Development reports one bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Commerce and Economic Development, to which is referred Bill Number 180864, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 17-1500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Annual Disparity Study and Participation Goals, by providing for further detail relating to, among other things, North American Industry Classification System codes. Respectfully reports it has considered the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading of this on this day, Bill Number 180864.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of Bill Number 180864. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. This bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. That concludes our reports from committee, and our next order of business is consideration of the calendar. I note that the bill just reported from committee with the suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had its first reading. It will be on our final passage calendar at our next session of council. There are no additional bills on the first reading calendar today, so the chair recognizes Councilman Heenan for a motion concerning the bills on second reading and final passage calendar today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the following bills on second reading and final passage calendars today. Bill numbers 180996, 181010, 181048, 181065, 181097, 181098, 181099, 181104, 190009, 190010, 190011, 190014, 190015, and 190063.
Second.
Thank you. It's moved and seconded the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider bills just read by Councilman Heenan. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. The motion carries, and we will consider the consent agenda shortly. The chair again recognizes Councilman Heenan for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to the bills being considered on the consent agenda, the following resolutions and bills are being called up for the second reading and final passage calendars today. They are bill numbers 190112, 190116, 190096-A, 170365, 181103. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you, Councilman. Before considering the resolutions and bills, we will consider public comment. It will go as follows. If you are interested in testifying on a bill or resolution that is on a final passage calendar today, if you have not already done so, you may sign up at the table to my left. When your name is called, you will go to the middle of the council chambers. There's a podium there. There's a device on that podium. When the light turns green on that device, it will be your time to speak. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. When the light turns red, we'd ask that you please adhere to our guidelines and conclude your remarks. You'll be given 3 minutes to testify for a bill or resolution. Thank you very much for your anticipated cooperation. Mr. Decker, please call the first name on the list.
Carlo Aragoncillo. Commenting on 190-096A.
Morning, my name is Carlo Aragoncillo. This is in regards to Resolution 190096. I'm the Director of the Veterans Advisory Commission, City Council, also the former Bravo Company Commander, 392nd U.S. Army, and also an Iraq War veteran. Thank you, Council President, Council, Philadelphia. So I've been in the position about a year and a half. In that I've seen incredible people, heard amazing accomplishments. These people are spouses, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and our friends. Philadelphia is rich in history and tradition. A part of that is the Army, Marine Corps, and the Navy were born here in Philadelphia. Since the inception of the Veterans Advisory Commission in 1957, the Resolution 190096 is the first step in establishing improved services for the Office of Veterans Affairs for Philadelphia by engaging the community, empowering our veterans, and also educating Philadelphians on what it means to be in the military. So on behalf of the over 50,000 veterans and family members, thank you, Council President, and I commend this legislative body for making this a reality. Thank you.
Ralph Galati. Commenting on 190-096A.
Ralph Galati, born and raised in Philadelphia, proud Vietnam veteran. I'm here in support of Carlo and his team. I have personal experience with the role of veteran services in Delaware County, and the fact that you are legitimizing and formalizing this office is significant. It will allow you to present your office proudly to the veterans and their families in the community, and also serve, I think, as a great conduit for those folks and their demands to this body. So thank you very much for your support.
Charles Ellison. Commenting on 190-096A.
Good morning, all. My name is Charlie Ellison. Full-time, I work for the Travis Manion Foundation. We're a national veteran service organization that develops character in future generations. I am also a proud Army non-commissioned officer. In my 16th year, several tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, going up for my 6th tour in a few months with the New Jersey Army National Guard's 44th Infantry Brigade Combat Team. Supporting this resolution goes a long way towards bringing the city of Philadelphia up to par with what other major cities are doing across the United States. The Veterans Affairs Commission here in Philadelphia, and Carlo is the director of it. They've got a tough task ahead of them with everything from social services for homeless veterans to opioid addiction, a lot of things that all of you are very well versed in your districts across the city. And this office is a unifying front, a one-stop shop for all veterans resources. This slight change in the verbiage and naming convention of the office, again, it does a lot to get us up to date with other cities across the country, and does a lot to establish Philadelphia as a leader in the veterans community in a much-needed space. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Vasily Banoy. Commenting on 181103.
Hello, my name is Vashti Bandy, and I am commenting. I am a longtime resident. I have been living at 2133 Catherine Street since I was 7 years old, and I am here to speak in opposition to the, excuse me, it's very tall, in opposition to the changes to the loop bill that are being proposed today. As a longtime homeowners are outraged, and I'm outraged personally, and demand that this bill not be passed. This new bill will have a negative impact, especially on low and moderate income property owners. as well as minority homeowners like my mom, who are on a limited or fixed income, by denying them access to loop. This bill will give to the haves and take away from the have-nots. The issue at hand is City Council has allocated only a limited amount of money for this program. And the new bill will allow people who are in upper income homeowners to grab some at those limited slots that should be available to low and moderate income homeowners. Why? Over the next few years, the OPA is going to bring all properties in the city up to their actual market value. That's their plan. This will necessitate an increase in an assessment from 150 to 300% on all properties. Most of these increases are going to take place in gentrified areas like my neighborhood, including Point Breeze, North Philadelphia, and Southwest Philadelphia, and the Graduate Hospital area where I live. Low and moderate income individuals who live in these affected areas will not be able to get loop because the demand by upper income property owners will have already exhausted the amount of money allocated by City Council for this program. Here's why. Most of the properties in my area have not actually been assessed at their OPA value, blah blah blah. Sorry, actual. There was a word I was looking for. Have not actually been assessed at the actual value. So as a consequence, someone came in, they bought a house at $400,000, $450,000. The assessed property tax value is maybe $300,000 now. When that assessment comes through, it will be raised. It may be raised 150 to 300%. But a person who can afford to buy a $300,000 to $400,000 house is a completely different person than somebody who, like my mother, came in at $30,000, bought that house, and has lived in it for 27 years. So this is not an apples and orange comparison. And if it was an unlimited amount of money, that would be fine. But it's not. It's a limited amount of money. So you're basically forcing people to choose. You're basically forcing people to more people to scramble for less slots, and it is not fair. Don't get me wrong. I support a bill that will help low-income property owners, but this bill is not doing that. And so I thank you, because I'm out of time.
Okay. Ma'am, real quick.
Yeah, can I help you?
I'm probably not supposed to talk while I'm up here. Just real quick question.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand. Your issue has to do with more people of an upper income level being. So do you know that the current bill, as Loop currently constitute, is the same number as this revised bill in terms of eligibility?
Oh, yes.
From the income perspective. So
yeah. It's from an income perspective, but it is safe to say that, like,
so
my issue is somebody who came in and had bought a $300,000 house, or a $400,000 house. It also fixes that at the taxed value it has.
And I think your other issue had to do with
yes,
making sure that there's not enough money.
Yeah, there's
enough money to make sure that we accommodate the lower income individuals.
That's what I want out of this bill. I want this bill to accommodate lower income individuals and allow lower income individuals to actually have access.
If there are more people eligible, there needs to be more money to basically have to raise the cap in terms of the money from the city to accommodate everybody.
Exactly.
All right. I just want to make sure I understand you.
No, I'm so glad you asked me because I realize I'm reading this and I'm like, woo!
Right.
But
that's cool.
thank you.
That's cool. All right.
Thank you so much.
I think we're going to be in a position to address both of those issues, but I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Anthony Fedeli.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, Council President, just for a point of information, and I'll let you clarify at the appropriate time, but there was a significant increase in terms of the cap, more than $5 million, so the cap was raised to allow more individuals to be a part of it, and also for the record, individuals with tax-abated properties also aren't eligible to participate in the LOOP program. Just wanted to clarify that information just for the record.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm somewhat limited in terms of what I'm supposed to say up here, but thank you, sir.
Anthony Fedeli, commenting on 1900096A.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Almost good afternoon, actually. My name is Anthony Fedeli. I am a United States Army veteran, coming up on 20 years now. I've been in the city for about 13. I used to run a program called The Mission Continues here in Philadelphia, and I've since handed it off. Currently finishing up my MBA at Drexel University, and I'm here to talk about the the motion for Carlo and the Veterans Advisory Committee. I wanted to kind of paint a picture of what the veteran space looks like in the city of Philadelphia and why something like this is so important. We have an amazing group of what we call professional veterans who are in the business sector, who are very good at promoting the businesses and working alongside each other to bring businesses to Philadelphia. The problem is there's a much larger group of veterans in the city that are doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that aren't able to get any of the recognition, aren't able to get any of the support that's desperately needed. I, along with some of my other brothers and sisters, feel like an initiative like this will give Carlo the opportunity to bring some of the resources that are needed to these organizations that are on the ground level, that are doing all of the work behind the scenes. We have almost what's called a great divide in this city right now, where we have these professional veterans who are running around promoting themselves as the face of the veteran community, but that's not the case at all. We're already laying a lot of groundwork for programs that we want to bring to the city that other cities are doing, like Pittsburgh and New York City. These programs aren't getting any attention and they're not getting any resources. We're hoping to change that. This movement is happening, and it's going to happen very fast, and I think being able to make this change right now will give Carlo the opportunity to be a part of this movement and bring the city of Philadelphia into the forefront of the veteran space and be a conversation topic for the amount of support that they were able to give the veteran organizations who are doing all the groundwork. I hope that it moves forward, and I thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, sir.
Linda Gerald, commenting on 181103.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Gerald. I'm a resident. First of all, I'm not a public speaker, and I'm a resident of.
Just say your name for the record.
Linda.
Just say your name for the record.
Linda Gerald.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm a resident. My name is Linda Gerald. I'm a resident of the 1200 block of 30th Street in North Philadelphia. Like I said, I'm not a public speaker, but I'm just here on behalf of the bill, and I just want to say that I am a resident, and I've been a resident for maybe over 15 years there in that area. And I think that me as a person to give back to the community, that's why I don't want to go anywhere. Seems like there's so much construction around that area, I'm being pushed out of the area. But the Lord has me there for a certain reason, and that is to be a stable person in the community, a senior person, because I run a food bank. There's a food cupboard in the community where we service the people in the neighborhood, and also I work with the SHARE program, the Coalition Against Hunger, in which we feed and clothe and visit the people in the community. So I think I would be an asset if I was allowed to stay in, which God is going to let me stay in the community to help out, but also to help the other seniors in the community. We do a lot of street ministry, a lot of street work, cleaning the streets, with Habitat for Humanity. We do a lot in that area to help the people. But I think I would be an asset, not a liability. But I would stay there, and I've been there I'm 68 years old. I've been in the community over 50-some years. But in that area, over 15 years. But this bill would allow me to keep functioning in that area as a productive citizen for the city of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your testimony.
Monty Wilson, commenting on 181103.
Morning.
Morning, members of council. My name is Monty Wilson. I'm from Community Legal Services. I'm here today to speak in support of Bill 181103, proposed amendments to the LOOP program. Many of you know that I've been working on behalf of low-income homeowners who are struggling with their property taxes for years, and I want to let you know that I appreciate council's ongoing efforts to help homeowners preserve their homes, and particularly when they're struggling with property taxes. CLS supports this bill because over the years we have seen a steady increase in the number of homeowners coming to our office seeking help regarding their property taxes. Last year we saw 279 people coming to us for problems with their property taxes. This year we're on track to see 430 people. An increasing number of those are dealing with their assessment problems. That's becoming the newest thing. Property tax issues are now the number one issue that comes to intake on my office at CLS, and the number 3 issue we see overall. This bill, as many of you know, will help homeowners by reducing the cap in the LOOP program to a 150% increase. That will allow people like Ms. Gerald, who is my client, to cap their taxes, but pay the taxes they can and remain in their home as a valuable asset to the community. Without this amendment, she will not be eligible for LOOP, and her tax bill will nearly triple. We strongly support this bill. I understand there is concern about people having access to the bill and low-income homers having access to the bill, but I don't see that as a reason to oppose that. I see that to seriously address making sure that there's enough money, or at least the cap on the hold harmless provision is high enough that everyone who is eligible for LOOP and can benefit from it gets that benefit.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Emmanuel Bussey, commenting on 190027.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, I come down, council.
Say your name.
My name is Emmanuel Bussey for the record. I'm commenting on Bill 190027, I believe. It's related to, you know I'm not going to talk about that. But for the record, I got to say what it is. Oversight. It's going to get into oversight, but it's not. All right, so let me see my timer. I'm on 2:19. Can you start my timer over, please? All right, thank you. So I come down here every couple of weeks to talk to you guys, rarely ever to criticize. My intent is always to inspire and motivate council. I consider you my colleagues. I consider you, most of you, my friends. I speak today about oversight. The oversight that I'm talking about is the oversight of Local 98. The oversight of Local 98 and its reach into our electoral politics, our local electoral politics. I'm gonna just share with you a little bit about what happened this weekend at Janie Blackwell's event and why I believe it happened. What happened at Janie Blackwell's event was disruption. I remember when I was small, my mom and my pop came home, which got me into politics, which might be interested in politics, because they came home and told me about a fight on the floor of city council. I was like, what? I maybe was 5 or 6. And you know who was fighting on the floor of city council? John Street and Lucian Blackwell. Fighting on the floor of city council. They were disrupting city council as council members. But you know why they were disrupting? Because what disruption is, an alteration of the norm, a changing of the status quo. So what Lucian Blackwell and John Street was doing was disrupting what was normal because they thought it wasn't right. Now, I believe that we haven't broken down to the point where we can't have dialogue. So that type of disruption may not be appropriate at this time because I believe you can come talk to Councilwoman Janie Blackwell. I don't believe that that level is appropriate at this time, but I'm a big fan of disruption. I'm a huge fan of disruption. I'm one of the most disruptors you can get. Well, the reason I rise today is because our council members, good council members, are indicted. See, the meaning of indicted is to be formally charged or accused. And when you let Bobby Heenan go unquestioned, without a hearing, it's an indictment of all of you. How can you let this man sit here in council, a colleague of yours, with a 152-page indictment, 116 charges, and you ask no questions? See, that's the problem. It's not the fact that, it's not whether or not you're innocent till proven guilty. You have an obligation due to your charter to ask questions. How dare you, as my representative, refuse to ask a question? So again, this is not a criticism. You are my friends. I love Maria Quinona Sanchez. I'm gonna say it again. I love Maria Quinona Sanchez. Kurt is my man. I absolutely think David O is absolutely tremendous. Like Mark is the man. I mean, you guys are my friends. But it is an indictment of you when you go silent. How dare you? Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Tiffany Green. Commenting on 181103.
Good morning.
I hope so. You had me at 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, Tiffany Green. I'm going to speak on Bill 181103. I oppose this bill, and let me say why. Because sometimes a gift is not always a gift. And sometimes it looks like you're helping the poor, but actually you're helping others in return. I believe if this bill is passed, you will see upper income people come out in droves and apply for loot. I think they're sitting back waiting for this bill to go through. And I think that at this particular point, this bill needs to be held. Because you have areas like Point Breeze and other areas where we are being bombarded with these high-end houses, and more people are going to require loot. You only have a certain amount of money allocated for loot, and so at this particular point, we need to keep it open for low and moderate income people. This bill needs to be put on hold until we figure out how to make sure that the needy is in the program and not the upper income people. I understand what Monty's trying to do, and I understand, but Monty has low and moderate income people coming to his office. We have not seen the force of upper income people who will be coming out of the walls when this bill goes through. So I am encouraging City Council to put this bill on hold, because it's not fair that someone living on Lombard Street, whose house might be reassessed at $1 million or worth $1 million, but meet the income requirement of under $91,000 can qualify for loot. That does not make sense. I think that we need to start watching this, because at this particular point, things are really starting to get out of hand down in the communities regarding this gentrification, and everybody is starting to feel the whole pressure of it, and we have to be careful on how much we are giving to upper income people as opposed to the low income. It looked like we're getting a lot, but reality, when you on ground and on the ground floor, it's not really a lot. Also, I want to say thank you to Councilman Johnson. I was glad to talk with you regarding us meeting in reference to Bill 180973. Hopefully we will meet on that 115-page bill, and I'm hoping that we can work something out at this particular time, okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your testimony.
M. Shikumba. Commenting on 181103.
Good morning.
My name is Madeline Shikumba. Can you hear me? This bill must not be passed. I'm talking about 18. I said Madeline Shikumba. I hope you started at my name.
We got it.
All right. This bill must not be passed. Why? Let me tell you what's been happening in my area. I live in the Graduate Hospital area. Half the houses in that area were under-assessed. From 2015 to 2018, the average assessment was $380,000 on $500, $600 million houses. Now, come 2019, to catch up, OPA assessed them to $600,000, $700,000. Now, do you think people who were getting away with underassessment want to pay that difference? No. What did they do? Beat their behinds down to City Council, saying they got to pass a new loop bill so that that jump of 150 to 200% will not be affected. They still can pay that low income. And these people are buying houses $450,000 and $550,000. If you don't believe me, check your facts against the thing. And don't tell me you had your facts, I had mine. Okay? And remember, that's one of the criteria. They meet the second criteria, residency, because most of them have bought their houses in 1997, 2004, 2005, and so forth. So they meet the residency. Do they meet the income? Yes. The average income for my area is $82,989. Loop, to meet the loop income is $91,800. Don't tell me they don't meet that. They meet three criteria to qualify for loop. This bill must be held, because there's too many of them. I can point to one block. I just went to one block. I didn't have to carry all the whole city. Went to one block, 100 Bain Street. I found on that block nearly 15 people qualify for loop. 15 people, and And when they qualify, how much money you going to have left to meet for the low-income people? This bill must not be passed. You must hold it until we straighten out what's going on in here. I'm tired. Yes, I'm a dupe recipient, but I want other people to qualify, and I mean the people who really, really need it. You open up this bill, and like Tiffany said, they'll be running down here to qualify. And then when you turn around, you won't have enough money. You have to allocate maybe more money to meet the low-income people who should be on that bill. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, please do not pass this bill. I sent you a list of the homes in 2000 blocks of Family Street that actually qualify for this. You got my email on this? Look at it. Please do not pass this bill. I want it passed because I really favor this bill because it will help low income, but you cannot pass this bill. You have to revise it and amend it. Please do that and do so now. And don't wait till later and then come down here looking sad. I'm telling you, do not pass this bill.
Thank you.
L. Grace Lewis. Commenting on 190112.
Good morning.
Morning.
My taxes are paid, they are up to date, and I vote. I live where they bought a lot, one lot in the middle of the block.
Just say your name, just for the record.
Grace, Grace Lewis.
Thank you.
Lewis.
Thank you.
I live where they, Point Breeze, Johnson, High Kenyatta. I live where they bought a lot, and they are beginning to build a 3-story structure without informing the residents. The construction on that block are 2-story houses. That particular lot happens to be across from my house. The building of that house will interrupt my privacy, my serenity, and the sanctuary of my home. I pay taxes. 2019 is up to date, and I vote. The community should not be impacted without being informed as to what's going to be happening to where they live. We do not live in barren lands. We live where people pay taxes. My family has paid taxes there for 50 years, a half a century, and we're not Indians. You didn't discover anything new. You have come into an organized community, and you need to assimilate to where you have come. New structure is wonderful. Change is going to happen no matter what happens, but you have to conform. There are many, many areas in South Philly with lots of lots where you can start something new. I object, and I'm going to protest the building of that building because I don't feel free in my home. I like to keep my curtains open. I have cafe curtains so you can't see from the street. But my drapes I keep open, so every time I walk in my bedroom, I see the sky, whether it's the night sky or the day sky. When I lay in my bed, I can see the planes ascending and descending from the airport, and I even see that big star in the Big Dipper twinkling at me from my room. I don't want to have to lose that privilege. Now, what I want them to do is stop that building, because not only are they building without informing the community, I see where they have disrupted the foundation of the neighboring streets. They've already had to call license inspection at my behest. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am.
Jacqueline Wiggins. Commenting on 181103.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jacqueline Wiggins. I'm also a committee person, 32nd Ward, 11th Division, and I am speaking today about Bill 181103. And thank you, Council President Clark, for giving me a few minutes this morning with respect to understanding or trying to understand this bill. I'm in opposition for this reason, and it was mentioned by the previous speaker. It has to do with people understanding what this is about. There are many senior citizens like myself who live in North Central Philadelphia who probably don't have a clue as to what is going to happen, what may look like something that will help, but we need clarification. And so I stand before you requesting that every single council person, district and at large, would please rethink this particular bill so that more people, more homeowners, particularly African American homeowners, can understand what is going on. The gentrification in our neighborhoods is absolutely outrageous. Of course, there's always going to be time for things to be renewed, but with this particular bill, I think that we really have to have residents understand more clearly. We need more time. We need more time to understand what tax exemptions for long-time owner occupants of residential properties, to revise the standards for eligibility and the benefit determination under certain terms and conditions. Bill 181103 needs further clarification. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Carol Green. Commenting on 170408.
Excuse me, my name is Carol Green, and I need prayer. I'm going to comment on Bill 170408. And first of all, I wanted to apologize to everyone here and who might be looking at me. Maybe they can see me on TV. If I'm on television, I want to apologize for what I did last week. If I was wrong, please forgive me for that. If I was out of order. And I know, like, when I used to go to school, there was a teacher there named Miss Intenzo that I'm fond of. And during that time, the teachers were allowed to beat you. And she would teach us with a pointer, like she would point on the geography map, if that's what you call it. But she would always, she could beat us with the pointer if we were disobedient. And she didn't hit us real hard, but they could beat you in school. And what I would like is if children that are in school that are disobedient, that are very disruptive, maybe they're really upset about something and they're very disruptive in the classroom. I'm not saying that they should be beat, but what I'm saying is that that the people should let God lead them as to what to do with the children. I don't know if they should be suspended from school, but to disrupt the school is not good. And in Proverbs chapter 23, if you read that, you'll see it's all right with God if we beat the children, as long as we don't abuse them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Agbana Higgins. Commenting on 190112.
How y'all doing? Great morning.
Good morning.
My name is Obona Higgins, and I'm actually, I'm going to actually speak on 181103. I'm a resident of the 2nd District, and I've actually witnessed the gentrification firsthand. When I first got my property, it was about $30,000. And it's been assessed now well over 300. But one thing I want to mention is that the people who have come into the neighborhood are extremely well off. And in regards to them not having their properties assessed at the market value, and it's going to be freezed, is it's like, it's a war against the poor, you know? And I think that what's going on here is that our representatives are not looking at and identifying long-term residents and the needs that they have. So I am definitely opposed to this. I'm definitely opposed to it. And I'm opposed to a lot of things that's going on in the 2nd District. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for the 2nd District seat. So we have to stop not caring about poor people. There's a constant war against poor people that obviously, when you look at the district, certain areas are not being tended to. Is it because they didn't vote? Is it because, why? So for me, as a citizen of Philadelphia, an Afro-American with a large population, the poorest big city, as they say, it's blood on your hands that our people are losing out. The Afro-Americans in this city are losing out with a majority of Afro-American leadership. I oppose this here.
Thank you for your testimony.
Rochelle Bilal, commenting on 181103.
Good morning. I'm speaking against Bill 181103. And in my 3 minutes, let me try to say this. Long-term residents gets very little from this city. Well, we are trying to say that people who can afford to pay their taxes and the increases get a break. So when you start telling us this, then you just about to give some more Trump breaks in this city. Trump give breaks to the rich, and now our city council want to give breaks to the rich also. Then that is a problem when you're going around here telling us that you don't want Trumpism in this city. Yet, here it is again. If you really need to go back and look at this bill, you also need to consider businesses, nonprofit organizations that been in this city, that has property here since 1972, that does reach out for the city, that gets no break. None. We have a building on Girard Avenue whose taxes went from $1,500 to dang near $8,000 in 1 year. And because we've been there since 1972, we don't get a homestead, nothing. We don't get a break, nothing. So if you're going to do this, start looking at those who work, give to the city, pay their taxes, do developments and do programs that works with the people in this city before you keep trying to give the rich another break. Can we get some breaks? We are asking city council to start looking at those who need a break. And it's not those who can afford. How many Trump breaks you want to give in this city? How many? I'm just saying, I hear what you're trying to do with this. I know you're trying to include other people. I'm just saying, take it back, look at it, look at the parameters that you're dealing with, and then let's come back and discuss this again. Like grown people here and constituents of the city who pay taxes every single day.
Thank you.
And I got 35 seconds. Hey, that's right, you can't cut me off, Council President.
30 seconds.
Now I got 29 seconds. So I'm going to use every bit of this. I'm just saying, as a constituent in this city, and I'm not telling nobody what position I'm running for, I'm just letting you know this bill needs to go back and you need to take a real good look at it. And then look at the businesses that have been here forever. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, man.
Joy Crudup, commenting on 181103.
Good morning.
Sorry, good afternoon. Good
My
afternoon.
name is Joy Crudup. This is my first time ever being down here, but I'm here to speak on Bill 181103. I am a resident of the 2100 block of North Marvine Street, which is in North Philly. And actually, I had no idea about this bill until I came down here this morning. And I am opposed to the bill. I don't believe that new developers who come into our city who had a 10-year tax abatement already should be eligible for a bill when you have people who've lived here for years and years and they are struggling. That was the purpose of the loop bill. So it's not fair that those who had a 10-year tax abatement are able to benefit from the same thing that we benefit from because we're struggling a little. Also, I wanted to say that the houses that I live in the 2100 block of Marvine Street, they weren't built by developers. My aunt and, well, two of my aunts and another young lady came and sat down with Mayor Good and some other people, and they got funding so that those houses could be built. So it's not fair for us who have lived there all this time. And Mr. Clark, you are from, if I'm not mistaken, you are from Yorktown, and I do know that your dad had a company because they used to come and cut our grass every other year. And I just want you to take a moment and think back to your parents, and if they were here now, living in Yorktown and had all these developers, would they be okay with this bill being passed? I have nothing else to say, but please don't pass the bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am.
There are no other speakers in the public comment list, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That concludes our public comment session. And we will now consider today's bill consent agenda. I would ask Mr. Decker to read the titles of all of the bills on the consent agenda. After each title is read, any member may object to the inclusion of a bill on the consent agenda. Upon substantive objection without debate, the bill will be immediately removed from the consent agenda and placed on our regular final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, can you please now read the titles of the bills on the consent agenda?
Bill number 180996, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 118 by striking from the city plan and vacating a widened portion of Warnock Street on the easterly side thereof between Burke Street and Norris Street, and relocating the easterly house line of said Warnock Street so as to align with the easterly house line of the unaffected portions of Warnock Street as extending from Burke Street to said Norris Street. And bill number 181010, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan numbers 12S and 19S by relocating the northeasterly house line and curb line of Tasker Street from Christopher Columbus Boulevard to a point southeasterly therefrom, relocating the southeasterly curb line of said Christopher Columbus Boulevard from Tasker Street to Reed Street, varying distances northwestwardly, and relocating a portion of the southwesterly curb line of Dickinson Street from said Christopher Columbus Boulevard to a point northwesterly therefrom, a uniform distance northeastwardly. And bill number 181048, entitled an ordinance authorizing Mohammed Taluli to construct, own, and maintain a proposed exterior stairway at 4955 through 57 Frankfurt Avenue. And bill number 181065, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations on Germantown Avenue, East Horter Street to Gorgas Lane, both sides. And bill number 181097, entitled an ordinance establishing a parking regulation on Haverford Avenue, both sides, 31st Street to 32nd Street. And bill number 181098, entitled an ordinance establishing a parking regulation on 46th Street, east side, Larchwood Avenue to Osage Avenue. And bill number 181099, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Locust Street and South 45th Street, South 46th Street and Spruce Street, South 45th Street and King Sessing Avenue, Weota Street and Powelton Avenue, Stiles Street and North 50th Street, Springfield Avenue and Farragut Street, St. Mark Street and Spruce Street. And bill number 181104, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Wilder Street and South 12th Street, Tasker Street and South 8th Street, Garrett Street and South 12th Street, Reed Street and South 12th Street, Dickinson Street and South 9th Street, South 11th Street and Wharton Street. And bill number 190009, entitled an ordinance establishing a no parking regulation on Ivy Hill Road in the vicinity of Mansfield Avenue. And bill number 190010, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 12, 2700 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Permit Parking Districts, by creating a new Permit Parking District 36 in the vicinity of Cotman Avenue, Roosevelt Boulevard, and the Tacony Creek. And bill number 19011, entitled an ordinance amending Section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Farmers Markets, by revising the limitations on a permissible location on Castor Avenue. And Bill number 190014, entitled an ordinance granting permission to Vincent Capello, owner and operator of Vinnie's Fruit and Produce, located in the right-of-way on the north side of Dickinson Street between 9th Street and 10th Street, to install, use, and maintain certain electrical wires, conduits, and appurtenances in, under, and over the right-of-way on the north side of Dickinson Street between 9th Street and 10th Street. And Bill number 190015, entitled an ordinance establishing parking restrictions on East Gowan Avenue, Devon Street to Ardley Street, South Side. And Bill number 190063, entitled an ordinance amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize bicycle lanes on North 10th Street and North 13th Street, each from Spring Garden Street to Buttonwood Street, and establishing no stopping regulations within the same limits, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. These bills having been read on 2 different days, the question for each bill now is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker shall call the roll, and upon being called, each council member shall vote aye on each of the bills, nay on each of the bills, or indicate those bills for which the member is voting aye and those bills for which the member is voting nay. Mr. Decker, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Dom.
All bills.
Councilman Green.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Greenlee.
Bills.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Jones.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Gunnar Sanchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squillo. Councilman Taubenberger. Council President Clark.
Aye on all bills. A majority of members voting in the affirmative for each of the bills on the consent agenda are passed. We will now consider the bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar. Mr. Decker will please read 190112.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority, without consideration, deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots or pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 30th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Johnson. You want to hold on? No, that's for, I'm calling you for the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190112 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190116.
A resolution calling on the state legislature of Pennsylvania, the governor of Pennsylvania, and the federal government to mandate these certain education initiatives in Pennsylvania and to mandate these initiatives nationwide.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Dom.
Resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190116 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190096A.
A resolution designating the office within City Council that currently serves the needs of veterans and their families as the Office of Veterans Affairs, confirming the continuing responsibility of the Veterans Advisory Commission to provide assistance to that office, and amending and restating Resolution number 060059 as amended by Resolution number 070094 to further provide for the powers and duties of the Veterans Advisory Commission and the method of appointing its commissioners.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. On your behalf, I move for adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190096A is adopted. Mr. Decker, you want? Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the title 170-365.
An ordinance amending Chapter 19200 of the Philadelphia Code entitled City Funds, Deposits, Investments, Disbursements by amending Section 19201 entitled City Depositories by authorizing the City Treasurer to deposit funds in Santander Bank, National Association.
Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
I move for this bill to be moved to the suspension calendar.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And bill number 170-365 will be placed on the suspension calendar. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 181-103.
An ordinance amending Chapter 19300 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Tax Exemptions for Long-Time Owner-Occupants of Residential Properties to revise the standards for eligibility and the benefit determination.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just wanted to clarify just some facts regarding this bill. On various occasions, we have amended this bill all in the sole effort to protect those who are most vulnerable. And although we may sometimes disagree with advocates regarding their perspective, our primary purpose and mission has always been to protect long-term residents. So just to give you an example, we have raised the cap $5 million. As this bill stands right now, it will cover 3,400 new individuals who will be able to be protected in their homes if their property value has risen more than half. Before, your property value had risen triple. But we've had hundreds of people who will come to my office and say, listen, my tax bill didn't triple, but I still can't qualify for loop. This helps that individual who taxes increased by 200%, 250%. It allows them to stay inside their home. Under this new loop bill, 80% of new potential loop properties were assessed at $150,000 or less. I want to clarify that. 80% of new potential loop properties were assessed at below $150,000 for FY18. That also speaks to areas that are gentrifying, areas that have low income to moderate income neighborhoods. Also, individuals who are eligible in terms of income criteria. Now, the 150% AMI, what the administration didn't support during the last amendment of LOOP, that advocacy came from advocates who are advocating today against the bill. They advocated and said, can you raise it from 120 to 150, which actually opens it up for individuals to have more of a high-level income to participate in the LOOP program. That's where that advocacy came from, and it's also stated for the record. But here's how much money that a family can make in order for them to participate in the LOOP program. For a family of one, $91,000. Family of two, 104, roughly $105,000. And a four-person family, $131,000, right? Now, we don't want to get into rich versus poor, but those numbers are basically moderately income individuals. You may be living in a gentrifying neighborhood but work for the school district with you and your wife and your family and only make a total of $104,000. You may be working at the Philadelphia International Airport and only make $100,000. You may be working at SEPTA and live in a gentrifying neighborhood with a family of four, right? And only make $131,000, and you'll still be able to participate in a LOOP program. And so I just want to clarify what some of the facts are as relates to who's actually able to participate, and also this misnomer that if you have a tax-abated home, you're able to participate in a LOOP program. Again, that's not factual information. Each time we have amended this bill is all in an effort to advocate for those who are most vulnerable. That's why we found an additional $5 million to help individuals participate in this program. And so I just want to state that for the record, and I will be voting yes on this particular bill. And as we move forward, we have no problem educating sitting down and informing rather as advocates or individuals who have questions regarding this bill. But our intentions has always been pure from day one, and that's the fight to make sure long-term residents and those who are vulnerable when it comes to gentrification and an increase in property values and real estate taxes, the opportunity for them to stay inside their home. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to add to my colleague, Councilman Johnson, on some of the facts on this bill. When this was first given to us by the state legislator allowing us to look into it, it was called the gentrification bill. It was done by the state, and they allowed us the right to go in for long-term owner occupants. And so the bill is to protect long-term owner occupants. And the reason of the changes is the same bill that was introduced and passed that helped 17,000 individuals back when AVI was initiated in 2013. And those individuals this year that lived in those homes, because of OPA and their assessment process, have increased 40% in 1 year on average. That tells you that they're in gentrified neighborhoods. That tells you that their prices are astronomical, and they would be moved out of their homes. This protection is put in place. Now, because of AVI, when it was first initiated, it was 300%. You had to triple in value of assessment in order to get in. Well, now we see that that'll never happen again. Also, we have put a cap on it at $20 million. That cap was factored into the rate that we voted on in order to put that money in there so it wouldn't affect what we did. Was it's supposed to be comparative taxes from the year before in 2012 to 2013. So that since it was going to be an even spread, we increased our rate enough to cover the loop participants. So there was no loss of revenue to the city or to the school district, and the $20 million at that time would be captured. Now, the reason why this year the assessments and the taxes owed on loop went from $15 million to $20 million is because these assessment rates skyrocketed. And fortunately or unfortunately, I'm working with the city revenue department to see if we could challenge some of these assessments, because when you're in loop, those people aren't challenging the large assessment increases because their taxes stay the same because they're in loop, they're being protected. So I think we as a city need to look at that to assess, to go in and challenge those assessments, and therefore we would never even reach our cap if we were able to challenge those assessments. And therefore we then know that the people that need to be protected will be protected. All this bill does is allow anybody now, instead of going up 300%, to go up 150% in assessed value in 1 year to be eligible. Does it capture everybody? Are there sometimes people that just miss? Yes. But we need to be able to protect our long-term owner occupants, and we need to be able to help keep the affordability for our people who are living in the neighborhoods that are rapidly increasing. And I also will be voting yes on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. I am supporting this bill as well. There were questions, can we hold the bill and fix the problems at OPA? What I try to explain is because of the separation of powers, OPA is under the administration and we cannot fix it. So we do have a bill, we have other bills coming up to deal with as best we can through the legislative process, the Office of Property Assessment. Yeah, absolutely. But what we have on the floor today, if we don't pass it, it will not provide the help that a lot of seniors and people need. So I will be voting for this bill to help those that we can help right now, and we will continue our fight to ensure that people are protected from these overly large assessments, which is driving this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, my intentions when I walked in here was to vote against this bill. The reason I wanted to vote against it at the time is because there was a lot of information presented that wasn't clarified. My colleague has spent a lot of time clarifying it along with my colleague, Councilman Squilla, along with Mr. Christmas, who is the 18th member of this body, to give me a little better understanding. Why I rise today to talk about this is the initial problem is in our assessments and the assessment problem. That pebble ripples throughout every community. When we start getting it wrong, we get it wrong in a whole lot of different rooms and arenas. So how can we be wrong on assessments and right on sheriff sales? So the problem extends beyond what we're struggling with right now. If we don't get this right, how can we fairly look taxpayers in the eye and say, you know, your property is worth X, Councilwoman Blackwell, and though you live right next door to Councilman Green, his property is worth Y, and why is it so much more? We have to fix this, or all of these other remedies that we're attempting to do in good faith don't make sense. They're not uniform. They're not accurate. So we got to get to, Mr. President, you did a assessment of the assessors, and it wasn't right. So I'm going to vote for this with holding my nose because it doesn't help everybody. But the real problem is in a fair valuation of properties in the system, because that's where the problem begins and continues to keep creating a problem throughout. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, but Council President,
Yes, sir.
with all due respect to my colleague, and he's a very hard advocate on this issue, and I do appreciate his support. But, I also just want to clarify, although we are fighting the administration to make sure we get assessments correct, people are losing their houses in South Philadelphia on a day-to-day basis, every single day. That's why it's important to move forward this legislation. So tomorrow on Monday, when that person comes in my office who says, I want to qualify for LOOP and my taxes didn't triple, it's opened up for them to save their home today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. And so I just want to state that for the record because, at the end of the day, the number one issue when individuals come into my office is addressing the issue of high real estate taxes and how we can stay inside our homes. This opens up that process to 3,400 individuals. 80% of them lives in primarily low income to moderate income neighborhoods, and it will allow them to stay inside their homes. And so I just want to state that for the record, because at the end of the day, yes, we have to fix the assessments, right? But people are losing their homes every single day until that process gets done. And this is a step in the right direction to help that 3,400 individuals, primarily from low-income neighborhoods, changing neighborhoods, stay inside their homes. And I just want to state that just for the record. And I do appreciate individual support.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
For the record's record, I support it today because I understand that urgency. But what I also found out today, and I share with my colleagues in here, is that it's not just a South Philly, North Philly thing anymore. Them sheriff sales are spinning up in Winfield, Overbrook, Cedar Park, and other places. So we all have that sense of urgency. And why we are paying particular attention to this bill and other corrections. So I agree, there's an urgency, as the real president, who is now left White House, used to say there's an urgency of now, but there's also a righting of the ship as we go forward, Mr. President. So.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman, what did you say, the real president? What is it? Oh, all right. I just... Okay, no more discussion, no more debate. 181, 103, this bill has been heard on two separate occasions. The question is, shall the bill pass now? Mr. Decker, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Dom. Councilman Green. Councilman Greenlee. Councilwoman Gim. Councilman Heenan. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla. Councilman Taubenberger. Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 17 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passed. Mr. Decker, 180996. Oh, I'm sorry, that was on consent. Let me see. No more bills on the regular second reading final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution declaring March 4th through 10th, 2019 as Women in Construction Week in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman Green on behalf of Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez. This resolution.
I'm sorry, I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. That resolution is adopted.
And a resolution congratulating and honoring the Pennsylvania chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women on the 33rd anniversary of the Madam C.J. Walker Awards Luncheon, and for the organization's commitment to the educational, political, and economic empowerment of African American women throughout the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilwoman Parker.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Any speeches on behalf of the minority? Any speeches on behalf of the majority? Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to take this opportunity to call attention to the flags that have been placed on each member's desk and recognize the man who created them. Several decades ago, Mr. Oliver Adams came up with the idea of a national symbol which recognizes the diaspora of Black Americans. He believed that the term Afro-Americans more accurately reflected not just our African heritage, but the many nationalities we represent: Jamaicans, Haitians, Canadians, Ugandans, Somalians, and Liberians, among many others. In 1987, Mr. Adams copyrighted his logo, "Thank God I'm Afro-American." A copy of the logo hangs in the Martin Luther King Jr. Library and Archives in Atlanta. He hopes it will become a national symbol for Afro-Americans in this country and others. While pursuing his visionary dream, Mr. Adams has also been a successful businessman. He owned and operated a bakery for over 30 years in the Allegheny West neighborhood of my district, and for the last few years has been continuing to market his logo nationwide. Mr. Adams believes that everyone should have a dream, and we wish him the best in his endeavor to create a spirit of community and national pride all over the world. And if Mr. Adams could stand and we could recognize him and thank him for the flags and for his tireless work, we appreciate you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you. Congratulations, sir. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Thank you, Council President. This week, Councilmember Sherelle Parker introduced a resolution regarding the Power Up program and their ability to help mom and pop businesses to start a business in the city of Philadelphia and the growth and success of that program. This program, along with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, are two programs that are run out of the Community College of Philadelphia. And as we talk about the major issue of poverty in our city, the growth of small businesses is very important, especially on our commercial corridors from Washington Lane to Washington Avenue. Tuesday of this week, I had an opportunity to go to the kickoff for a program that also helps small businesses to grow, called Inner City Capital Connections. On each of the desks of my members in council, I left a brochure and information about Inner City Capital Connections, and they're coming back to Philadelphia with a new cohort of applicants. That will start on Wednesday, May 22nd of this year. If you know a business that qualifies, please recommend them to this outstanding program. We've had a number of alumni in the city of Philadelphia that have come out of the ICCC program, including Pyramid Construction, since 2005, and this is a national program. About 2,000 alumni have graduated from this program in cities all around the country. These small businesses have averaged about 160% in growth in revenue, created close to 20,000 jobs, and raised $1.92 billion in capital. This is a mini MBA program, and they focus on the 5 C's of capacity, coaching, capital, connections, and contracts. So if you know businesses in your districts or businesses throughout the city of Philadelphia that can benefit from this program, please recommend them so we can continue to grow small businesses in the city of Philadelphia and address the poverty in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. Real quick, I just wanted to, last week there was an invitation on every council member's desk for the Party at the Market. It's the Reading Terminal Market, who's one of our great historic markets here we have in Philadelphia. It's one of their biggest fundraisers, but they want to invite all the council members as their guests Saturday from 7:30 on. So hopefully if anybody has that time Saturday night to attend, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. That concludes our speeches on behalf of the minority and majority. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, February 28th, 2019 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded. Council stand adjourned until Thursday, February 28th, 2019, 10 a.m. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Thank you all very much.